Yeah.
Hey guys and gals out there. I'm not sure where you're at, but we're here. My name is Cedric Crawford, also known as Mr. Make It Great. And I have with me this great collection of people here. But it's not about me today. I am so stoked for you guys to be able to see what it is that I've seen. And I caught a glimpse of some stuff. And we're going to show that to you in just a minute in a quick video here. But let me set it up like this. In fact, I'm not going to set it up. We're gonna go organic with this. And here's the thing that when we watch this, we're going to watch this together, okay? And when we watch this, I don't want you to just listen to it, but I want you to hear what it is that's happening. See, because Confucius said, hey, when I hear, I forget. When I see, I remember. When I do, I understand. So we're going to go through this whole phase. We're going to start with hearing it, actually hearing what's going on this video. And we're going to watch it together here too. We're going to watch it with you. And then afterwards, we're going to come back and we're going to debrief a little bit. And guys, I'm super excited because I've already seen it. And they've seen it too. But now you're going to get a chance to see it. And we're going to see if you're going to feel the same vibe that I felt about it as well too. So, everybody ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, roll that beautiful bean footage. We're all watching this thing together.
I've been scared by how long these lines are trying to get food. And we can't imagine people being hungry and people dying of starvation. But if you don't have a job and you don't have a way of getting food, that's what we're going to see.
Anytime any life goes without food, you'll do things that you never thought you'd do when you're hungry.
California is particularly afflicted. I think we have about half the homeless population of the country in California, so it's an acute problem here.
One of the things that I've noticed going in and making contact with a lot of those individuals is that a lot of them have good hearts. They're good people. They've just fallen on hard times. There are some that have mental health issues, some that have issues with either drug or alcohol dependency, but they're all human beings.
Homelessness is increasing. And my great fear is there's possibly another 20 or 30 million people that are not going to have a place to live. Some of these people from their childhood are so damaged, and for them to trust somebody is a very difficult thing.
We're about the relationship. And through the relationship, we gain trust. We get to share the things that have hurt us, how we've ended up where we are. And we don't become judged. We don't care what you're doing, what your life was like. We just love you as you are. And we're just glad you're here at our table. My name is Sherry Reitmer. I grew up in Bakersfield, California. I am the executive director of Shar-On Corporation and Laborers of the Harvest. I had no idea I would grow up to be homeless, but that actually ended up happening to me. Because of that, I fell in love with people that no one really wanted to have the time of day for. I grew up in a very poor, white neighborhood environment. I used to always be ashamed of who I was. I didn't do well in school. I wasn't popular. I was always looking and searching deep inside of myself. I found it in my bunk number 11. There was only 42 beds available for women that were homeless. And I happened to get one of those 42 beds, and that happened to be bunk number 11.
I met Sherry when she was fresh from experiencing homelessness.
She was desperate and uncertain about who she was and the message that she had been given. And so we talked about it, and we talked about how to develop an understanding of how to be with what you've been given, the mission for your life, and so to be selfless. And she heard that, and it resonated with her.
Before this, I had a Beverly Hills lifestyle. I was married to a rock star. I did very well in the medical field. And then my husband and I also had a business in the film industry, and we did very, very well financially. My husband contracted hepatitis C in his rock and roll days, and we didn't know that he had it. And by the time we found out about it, it was already too late. And my happily ever after was now a nightmare. I never thought I'd find myself rolling, crying at the bottom of my life. We were supposed to grow old together. We were supposed to raise our son and have grandkids and be in the old rocking chair together, you know, on the porch. And all that was just taken away from me. And it was tough. The very people I would never touch, I didn't want to have anything to do with, now all of a sudden I'm living with them. I knew something inside of me was just broken, and I needed to fix it. 52 years I'm holding on to shame, thinking this is all my fault and don't dare tell anybody how I grew up. Never tell anybody, because it must have been my fault. If I wasn't being taken care of, or if I was beaten or whatever, it was because I deserved it. And I didn't know that I wasn't the only one. I knew that there was more inside of me, but I just didn't even know how to get there. But all these beautiful people showed up in my life. They always saw me here. They saw me with majestic wings. They never saw me as a victim.
For her to finally get out of her situation of being homeless, she had to stop being a victim. And I think that's really telling, is that she had to take responsibility. She had to see her life for what it was, and she had to take the steps to move forward.
All of a sudden, I woke up one morning. I'm done with bunk number 11. So I got an apartment, but there was no support for navigating out. If you are not ready for a house, and you don't know how to budget, and you are not stable enough, you are going to keep that house for about 5 minutes, and then you're going to be back out on the street. If I couldn't navigate out of it, how else can everybody else navigate out of it? That's what birthed and inspired Shar-On. I go to Skid Row down south in Los Angeles, and there, the population, too many.
I get a call from a woman named Sherry. She says to me, I have a request, so before I tell you, you probably want to sit down before I explain what it is. And she said, we're doing a show called Homeless Has Talent in the middle of Skid Row, literally in a park.
I asked him, I said, would you be willing to come and do photographs? He's a professional photographer of a group of homeless people on Skid Row for Homeless Has Talent. Without hesitation, he said, absolutely. People had 5 minutes of stage time and mic time, and you could do anything you wanted as long as it was G-rated, and there was no politics, no religion, because we didn't want to create any fights or anything like that. We just wanted that pure passion.
And one person after another was so talented, and it was just so wonderful to see people who normally people do everything they can to avoid come alive and to show how talented they were.
And so that became a relationship. Mel's been with me ever since.
Not long after that, Sherry started this organization called Shar-On.
I just got so tired traveling back and forth for 6-8 years of doing this that I decided there's got to be people in my own town.
She asked me if I wanted to be on the board of directors. This initially was going to be an organization to help people that are homeless to basically adjust to living in society.
One of the things that I have noticed that within the last few years is we have had an increase in our homeless populace out here in town. There wasn't a lot of resources out here in Taft. I'm a sergeant with the Taft Police Department. I've been with the department for 18 years now. Currently, I am our public information officer. I am also the homeless liaison. It's a good, wholesome town. It's primarily funded by the oil field industry out here. It's a very big part of our community out here. A lot of the people that are employed out here actually work within the oil field. I met Sherry a few years back when she was running the St. Andrew's Church / Shar-On Corporation. I had a lot of relationships with a lot of the homeless people that I had been in contact with, and I would come here quite often to check on them, to check on clothing, etc. And we got to talk, and we realized that we have a lot of the same goals in mind.
We have an amazing team doing good for nothing.
She calls it her doing good for nothing, and she's able to show that, hey, these people, they want to make a difference in our community. They clean up the trash, they clean up these areas, all for free, no payment, just because they want to take pride in their community too.
Shar-On is self-governed by all of our very collective. They make all the rules, they make all the choices. I asked my collective, how come they don't choose to go to a homeless shelter? And why do they choose to live on the streets? Because a homeless shelter, I mean, at least it's a bed. And their answer unanimously said, because I don't want to be told what to do. So I was wondering about that. And then I asked them, I said, well, then what is the difference with Shar-On? Here's what their answer was again, unanimously. We are Shar-On. We choose the rules that we want to follow. We make the rules collectively together. We are self-governing. We are one together.
You start treating people as human beings, as your equal, and you give them that opportunity, more often than not, they will shine and they will rise to that occasion. We just have to be able to give them that opportunity for those that want it.
What she essentially did was she created a democracy where the rules and regulations of Shar-On are literally created by the homeless people. And one of the problems they have, which is very difficult for them, is to follow other people's rules. The reason Shar-On works is that they create the rules.
Our group chose, well, let's go downtown to Taft and start cleaning alleys, and we'll spend 3 days doing that. The first day we went out, our group was extremely scared out of their minds.
Every crime occurring, it's because of an increase in homelessness. It was misinformation that was being put out there. She was able to get a lot of volunteers through her program to go out and to do some projects around town.
They were just watching us. By the second day, we showed up, and we were tired. We showed up. Next thing I know, businesses are bringing ice water out to us.
They're working so hard, and what they're doing is they're sharing their labor. They're sharing their kindness.
Strangely, people like to look down on the homeless population, but Sherry's homeless population, they are servers who are trying to help their community.
Why would you expect a homeless person to be kind after how society has treated them and how society has basically looked down on them so much? And what Sherry was able to do is bring them back to becoming a whole person, helping society.
When it's all said and done, you have a small group that really donates a lot of their time and effort here with her Doing Good for Nothing program. They've gone around town, they made a difference in our downtown community district, where they've gone through and cleaned alleys. They do their best to give back to the community, and it's been well received and appreciated.
So our team Doing Good for Nothing, that's what they do. They get out there and they do good for nothing at all. So our team Doing Good for Nothing started going over to this food bank. And this food bank had been in existence for 33 years.
The laborers of Harvest decided that they were going to retire after a great number of years and actually asked Shari, would you like a food bank?
October 1st, we inherited Laborers of the Harvest. They were bringing in like 8,000 pounds of food, and the average was about 550 families a month and about 2,700 individuals.
They get large shipments from all over the place. The unloading is being done, for the most part, by homeless people. I was there a few weeks ago to watch the actual distribution of all the food.
These are the people who are coming in who do have roofs over their head. They come to the food bank where the homeless people serve the people who might have a roof over their head, but they don't have food in their refrigerator. The homeless of Taft are serving the people of Taft.
They don't just help the homeless, they actually help a lot of families that have gone through some tough economic times.
If we just cater to homeless, then we've excluded everybody else. And that's not what Shar-On is all about.
I've come in here before just to visit and say hi, and I've seen several small children in here eating. A lot of the families out here have limited income, and towards the end of the month, places like this may be the only way that those kids get to eat.
They're receiving thousands of pounds of food, and they're only one of 3 food banks that is still open in Kern County.
We went from 8,000 pounds of food to, it's got to be over 60,000 pounds of food a month. And so we're growing. And we started with peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
One of our board members started something called Sandwich Social, where they were giving out peanut butter sandwiches and bologna sandwiches and some punch to anybody who wanted it. This evolved into everybody getting a hot meal every night of the year.
It just started off with like 5 people, and then it just grew to 60, 80 people every single day coming and having a meal.
That was being cooked by Shari and other people who work with her. That now has evolved into the homeless people, actually, who got their food handling licenses. They're now doing the cooking.
It's all prepared by our very own homeless. They get their own food handlers permits, and they're the ones that do everything in serving. So now we have a whole entire food bank, daily meals. We're giving out bags of groceries every single day, 5:30 to 6:30, and then we have huge lines for commodities and emergency food.
Shari has just opened her arms in every way possible. She's expanded from her church to this warehouse, and she's just open arms. She never says no. That's the thing about her. She never says no. It's like whatever the people are coming, they're like, we got a truckload of food. Can you take it? Yes. We need you to go to another community and help out. Yes.
She had a dream, basically, and that was about it. She didn't have anything else. She just had an idea of how she wanted to go about this. And I have to be frank, I encouraged her, but I thought, man, that's a heavy lift. I don't know. I didn't want to tell her this, but I thought, I don't know how you can possibly get this done. She is proving that money is not always the answer.
Right now, they're basically working on a very tiny budget and volunteers that are essentially doing all the work, and nobody's getting paid.
Shari has made a life out of loving, and she doesn't have much money, but she has more joy than any of us can ever hope to achieve.
Day after day after day, they're serving the community, and the people that she is serving are also volunteering.
Shari every day does nothing but good things every single day, and she could care less about anybody's religion or race or anything they believe in. She's there, determined to love everybody.
As of last month, because of the COVID, we went from 550 families a month to over 2,150 families a month, 2,157, I think, to be exact, and then probably over 6,000 individuals.
We're applying for a number of grants that, if that happens, it's going to open up a huge amount of doors. Some of the sizable grants we're hoping to receive will make a big difference, where Shari will have the money to actually hire people.
Unfortunately, a few years back, we lost the funding for our courthouse out here in Taft. So we have to use a different courthouse that is probably about 45 miles away outside of town.
Our local police officer, Officer Bilby, here in Taft, California, he said, you know, that'd be a great thing if there could be some rides for them. And we took it to the collective, and the collective said, yeah, and they came up with the name Court Cab.
For those that have limited income, limited transportation, they don't have the ability to make it to those court dates. And she was able to get it to where she's able to get them transportation to and from court appointments if they give her advance notice, which has been something that's very helpful.
You book it, and we have, you know, strict things that you have to check in the day before.
One of the issues was we got a lot of individuals that really want to do their best to take care of the things that they need to take care of to make their court appointments, and they didn't have the means to do so.
We get to advocate and be there and champion the person as they're going, and we buy them lunch, we have snacks.
I can refer people that had some transportation issues to her. She'd make the arrangements and get them to court and from court and help keep them on top of their court dates.
They're nervous, and we're right there with them, and then we bring them back. No one grows up and aspires to be homeless, ever. But something happened along the line. We went out in society and we realized, uh-oh, wait a minute, I'm not Superman. I'm not gonna be that nurse. My life, something happened. So I missed all of those things. I see a university, a dignity university.
A lot of the people that I've met are very skilled, but they don't have any opportunity to share and to use the ability they have.
It has everything. And the first third of it is very intense. You have a dorm. You get to learn all the reprogramming, the coping skills.
Some of the shattered psyche of the homeless people will be repaired enough that they actually may want to have a home. Most of them don't right now because they can't deal with the responsibility. My wife and I, every year for the last 4 or 5 years, we do a birthday party for Martin Luther King, which I love doing. And the thing I said to Shari was, I never met Dr. King, which breaks my heart, but you're the closest thing I've ever met to him. And I couldn't give anybody a more glowing review of who they are.
I just see it growing in response to the need, and Shari being at the forefront.
She works hard. She's 24/7 about this opportunity, about her giving to her community. She's 24/7. She gives 120%. And I'm behind her all the way from the very beginning. She's just been wonderful and a blessing to Taft.
It's programs like the Shar-On Corporation and our food banks and all that are a staple to our community.
Shari has loved them back to having self-respect. There's a place where they could go where they're not judged and they really trust and love Shari.
You can't help but notice from dealing with Shari that she's full of love and that she's full of caring for her people, and it's that love that drives her entire program.
That's one of the great things about this program and Shari is she knows every single person that comes in here by name, and she considers them family.
Whenever there's a problem, the first sort of reflex is to, well, how much money will it take to fix this problem? And I think she is proving that money is not always the answer. She's doing this with almost no money.
The remarkable thing now is the people who most people shun have become heroes.
I think we're going to have to do things differently than before. We can't always just say, throw money at it and we'll fix that problem. I think she's onto something, and I think we ought to replicate that, or look to replicate that type of program throughout the county, and maybe it'll catch on and people start to notice what she's doing in other parts of the state.
It's essential that we have programs that are heart-based and that do their best to make sure that all the needs are met for those in our community that can't afford otherwise.
Shar-On is all about everybody. It doesn't matter who you are. We don't care if you are a multimillionaire, come to our table. You do not have to have the credentials of being poor, down, and out in poverty. You do not. You come and get loved up. We're all one community.
Yes, and
yes,
good.
yes.
I don't know which. Oh my goodness, guys, I'm so fired up. You could probably, I'm dumbfounded. You can knock me over with a feather. That was pretty cool. I don't know. If that doesn't fire you up, you're dealing with some wet wood. That's all I can say. Guys, this is my second time seeing that video. I'm not sure how many times you guys have seen it.
This is my second.
Second time
yes,
as well.
yeah.
Too. Second, and you probably what? Half a
maybe,
dozen?
yeah.
Maybe a few.
She's seen it. Now, this is your first time seeing it, I'm sure. And if you're watching this, I don't know how you got this or who sent this link to you, but thank you so much, because one of the most precious commodities this side of the universe is actually time. So you took your time to watch that video, and there's a message that was in there. I don't know, I saw a lot of stuff that's with it. Before we get into that, I want to start with introductions real quick. To my left, go ahead.
Sherry Reitmer.
Sherry Reitmer. And to my right,
Pink.
Pink, just simple pink.
Pink.
Pink. She's wearing purple today, but it's pink.
Yeah, it would be pink to me. And I'm Tina.
Tina.
I'm Ronald Ray.
There's so much we can talk about. This video showing to you was just more of a small glimpse of what is actually Shar-On is all about. And so my first question here was, why Shar-On?
The goal is to just have people come together and just love each other. That's it. Come and have a sandwich with us, come and eat, come and be with us in a judge-free atmosphere, and we just become one family, and then we start giving to each other and out into the community.
I love the judgment-free. I don't know if you caught that, but there's also, I'm sure this is not the first program that's been out doing something in the community. But what makes this one different, Tina? What would you say about this one that makes it different?
It's different because all of us, we are Shar-On. I maybe not had a home when I first started going to Shar-On, but it feels like it's your home. Every day when you go there, everybody knows who you are. They know your story. They know everything about you, and they're there to give you support. They're there just to be your family. I just get so excited because it's just amazing what Shar-On has done for me personally.
So the difference of any other organization out there, 501c3 that's doing work, the difference with this one is that this is more of a family, of a collective.
It really is.
And so I heard this term being thrown around by you guys called the collective. Ron, can you kind of explain what the collective is?
The collective is, everybody who uses our services is the collective. They all have a voice in what goes on inside of Shar-On.
Wow. Okay.
We have collective meetings. We decide what we want to do next. We discuss what has happened during the week. It's just really good. And everybody has a voice.
Wow.
Every Monday.
Yep.
It's 3 o'clock.
So would you say that, okay, so I'm putting this all together and I'm trying to help the viewer here to understand this whole process. So when you say everybody has a voice, is that important?
What gets them excited about it is they have a voice. They can say what they want. They come up with ideas. They come up with, it's just a way to, I just get chills when I talk about it. You have the ability to change what's happening.
Got you. What you say
Yeah.
matters.
Yes.
Wow.
We take a vote on it, you know? If somebody throws something on the table, we're gonna sit there and vote on it, okay? Do we agree that this is what, you know, this is the best thing for us right now? We vote on it, and if it
Everybody
doesn't pass,
agrees.
okay, you know, whatever,
Yeah.
but when it passes, we follow through, and that's what we do.
Pink, how do you feel? What do you like best about the whole collective idea?
That we get our own voice in everything, like we make our own rules and nobody's telling us what to do and we just all come together and work good together.
You guys get paid to do anything when you show up?
No.
with this?
We are all volunteers.
14 hours a day, man,
Wow.
for nothing.
Nothing stronger than the heart.
No,
of
14
volunteers.
hours a day to feel good in your heart's what it's for.
Wow. And
And
that's
how
a good
other
segue.
people feel good.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good segue too for this thing, this term called good for nothing. Some of you out there, it's funny because we were talking a little bit earlier about where that originated from, which actually the term did originate from me, but Sharon borrowed it and installed it into something that added another tooth to this smile. So, I mean, I grew up in the United States of Texas. I like to jokingly say that. Where my grandmother used to call me and my brothers lazy, and she calls us lazy good-for-nothings. And so I've kind of turned it and repurposed that statement to say, hey, wait a minute, those who are doing good in the community for nothing in return as far as money actually fits that profile of good for nothing. And so you have team good for nothing,
Team doing good for nothing.
team doing good for nothing. So tell me about team good for nothing, doing
Here
good
they
for
are.
nothing.
This is part of them. This is part of them. One of the originals, and then
Tell you what,
and Ron added on. So yeah.
You see they're all branded?
Yeah, we just
Yeah, we got the S.
I need to get a shirt so I can stay there and be the commemorative
We'll get
guy.
you a shirt. We'll get you a shirt. So, yeah, a larger size.
Yes.
But no, it's team doing good for nothing. It's really, you started this, as you said, and it's really getting out there and doing good for absolutely nothing at all. And what we have found, well, what I have found, I'll just take ownership, and I think everyone agrees, is that the more we give, the more there is to give.
Wow.
And that is really powerful. Like, there's never lack. There is never lack. We started off with peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and then we just kept growing in love. And not only are we just feeding so many people, and our purpose is not the feeding. It's
No.
not. It truly is, we get to come together. And the more we come together, the more of us there is to just keep giving, and we keep mentoring, and that just keeps growing. That's what the model is that's really working here more than anything else. And I've noticed that we're like a kaleidoscope. I love that term. A kaleidoscope, every time you move it or change it, the crystals in it turn to this amazing stained glass, right?
Yeah.
And no one's told what to do. No one is given instructions. No one is given a schedule, right, you guys? Everyone just shows up and just falls in place like this beautiful kaleidoscope, and it's just magnificent, and we just keep growing.
Building something like this from as grassroots as you can get it. You heard her talk about peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and it was like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich social that y'all started with?
Well, here's what happened. As you can see by the video, right? I was tired driving back and forth, and you were part of Homeless Has Talent. We would do it here in Bakersfield. It's a lot of work. So, but just to get to know people in our own town, how would we do that? Well, we thought of, in our board meeting, an ice cream social. But the thing is, it was August, so ice cream was not going to work out too well. So then all of a sudden, everybody likes peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and let's just throw in some bologna and cheese in there too, some chips and cookie. And so we just, as people were walking by, just asked them, you want to come join us for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? And just sit and yak and get to know them. And now it's like 5-course meal, and the cook is amazing, all the food's amazing. I mean, it's not like a soup kitchen, let me just tell you.
No.
It is some good eating food.
With the viewer out there, I think some of you may have a question of how can I do this in my community, or what does it take to make something like this go? Because as you heard, I don't know if they heard in the video, but we're going to hear right now, is that the budget that they work with is only a few hundred bucks a month.
$450 a month.
Say that again, they probably didn't.
$450 a month.
Yeah.
And the video, we didn't have everyone added up. and it said 6,000. It was over 8,000 is what we ended up serving.
Wow. Wow.
So,
With
yeah.
$450 a month that runs the operations and such, and everything else shows up. 60,000 pounds. That's, I don't know where you're at, but from the share that I'm in, 60,000 pounds a month, or what is it?
A month.
A month
A month.
blows my mind.
He weighs it. He is, Ron is
Weighs it.
completely in charge of all of our food, our
I'm the one
operations.
who's broke down.
Guys, that blows my mind. Now that's a small explosion, but it's still a blow. It blows my mind that much food is coming through there, and it started with the P&Js.
Everything that we receive just perfectly seems to go out.
Right.
Just perfect. There's never a lack. There's never too much. There's never
Whatever
not enough.
it's
It's just
perfect.
absolutely perfect. And we keep growing. You know, if it's okay. We like the word collective because that way it's all inclusive with everyone, whether you have a home, whether you don't have a home. But most of our group here are pretty much homeless. Ron had a home but no working kitchen, if that's okay, if I can share
Yeah,
that.
fine, yeah.
So, but the
Yeah.
thing is that what's amazing is here, coronavirus, we're all familiar with that, right? Coronavirus came, all food banks, soup kitchens, everything shut down, except for these homeless heroes right
Wow.
here. Our
Kept
team
showing
doing good for nothing. And you know what? People might say that our group doesn't have social skills or education and stuff like that, but I'll tell you what our group does have. And not only just amazing love, but they have survival skills that are off the chart. Like they can find toilet paper when no one else can find some toilet paper.
Very
Okay?
resourceful.
So yes, and the thing is, this group was the most amazing, perfect group to rise up during this time. And we're just not food bank. We serve everybody, whether you have a kitchen, no kitchen, whether you have a kitchen and it doesn't work, because a lot of food banks, and thank you, we're very proud and happy of our food banks, but what you gonna do with a slab of meat and a bunch of cans if you're homeless and schlepping all that around? So we serve everybody, all different categories, all ages, it doesn't matter. And even if you're, like we said, a multi-millionaire, it doesn't matter. You just come to our table.
The one thing that stands out with me when it comes to the Shar-On Foundation and what they're doing with their team, doing good for nothing, and the whole just collective, is that it's a culture that they've created. It's one that's welcoming, that allows for all comers with no judgment. And you know, we all have our faults, fallacies, hang-ups and stuff like that. But coming into a culture that allows for you to be who you are, and the rules are set by the collective itself, so it's almost they're self-governed. Reminds me of like a movie or something, a sci-fi movie. but they work well and they're able to make this thing go. And on this small little budget to be able to make that happen. Now, how can you make this happen in your community? Man, I gotta tell you this, I thought this through, and I said, one of the biggest things you gotta have going forward is you gotta have someone who has a passion to serve. And I'm not just, people throw passion and service and selfless stuff, they throw that out like it's passe, but it is really the core of an organization that would run like this one, is a passion to be selfless in your service. If you don't have that, then what do you have? You got something that's a schlep. It's like, but when you have that at its core, and Sherry, I know her personally, right? How long we known each other?
8 years.
8 years or so. And so.
Or so.
Or so.
That's a good so, right?
Oh, yes. Yes. And I've seen her come to the minefield of growth and such, and have a few missing limbs and to show for it. And going forward, she's morphed into this butterfly that is still humble, so she won't toot her own horn, so I like doing that for her every now and then, as I'm sure the collective would do as well, and I'm sure you saw in the video as well too. So if I had a hat on, I'd take it off to her. With that said, what does Shar-On Corporation need most right now as far as going forward? Because the model is a great one. What would you say it needs most?
Well, I think the model, the awareness is probably the greatest gift that we can have, and that to allow others to know that they can create this themselves. I mean, really, it just takes people to love each other and just a willingness. That's it. And I know that our next late that we would like to take on is creating training opportunities or opportunities where we can take this into other communities or train other entities and companies. I know they're amazing mentors, and you can't get, I mean, the best way is paying forward, right? What's been given to me, I now get to pass on, and that's exactly what we get to do. So, and of course, volunteers, monetary, I mean, all that stuff just kind of shows that obviously we haven't needed it, but it's always welcome.
Yes.
That's not our priority. Our priority really is to really allow this new model to be the forefront for humanity. Because really, everyone's doing all that they can, and the world's hurting out there, especially with COVID. And they have a prediction, I know our group knows this, but Cedric, they have a prediction that by the time COVID is ended, our homelessness and poverty, especially homelessness, will be increasing 48%. And so we really are trailblazing at the forefront, and we're already ready for what possibility, and there is hope. We aren't in a doom and gloom situation, as we can see. We do amazing things, and so this is how we do it.
And I think you said it best when you said we don't see lack.
Never.
And staying in this mindset, because I always like to say your skill sets and assets without the proper mindset will leave you upset. So having the right mindset is huge. The attitude, the ATTITUDE of attitude, a tool to install thought used to determine emotion. That's what attitude is, and the attitudes that they have, they've determined this emotion. They've picked it. So now they squeeze the juice out of that in service to this hurting humanity, if you will. And that's what makes the wheels be really lubed in running this whole foundational thing. I love the template. It's duplicatable. There's a blueprint in place because they came, they saw, and they've conquered it, and they're continuing to still grow because they have that selfless service type of thing that's deep down inside, and they're exercising the T's of giving. Let me share those with you real quick. Oh, hold on a second.
Oh.
Hello. It's for you. Your destiny's calling. What is your destiny? Your destiny is your legacy is something that you can pull out. If you're watching this video right now, I'm telling you, if this doesn't fire you up, you're dealing with some wet wood. There's some opportunity here to be able to take a model that's been duplicated, that's been done, it's laid down the foundation, as she said so eloquently, that they have the mentors to be able to do this. They have the function of how to, $450 a month to run? Are you crazy? I mean, you got to be 3 kinds of crazy and 2 kinds of foolish not to think that that's got to be outstanding to be able to run an organization that's like that and push 60,000 pounds of food through to a community.
This is priceless right here.
Yes.
This is priceless.
Can't beat this.
Right. And one of those T's, we got a few different T's that's being given right there. One is that first T of talent. What talent do you have? Now, obviously, they have some type of talent that they're just being kind to people. That's a talent. Just smiling, showing your teeth, even if you got 1 tooth. Brush it first, then show it off. So that's the talent. Next thing is the treasures. That's the easy part, where you can give or donate money. But that doesn't cause for you to be involved. So they need those 2, obviously, the treasures. Then another one is, which is the most important one, is your time. Your T of time to say, hey, I'm going to show up to help them go up. And I made it rhyme for you. Show up so you can help them go up. Next thing, T of their testimony. So when people come as part of the collective, they can share stories of how they were here, been there, done that, got the t-shirt and socks to match, but now what it's doing for them. And invite other people to be able to catch a glimpse of what could be for themselves, right?
Right.
That testimony. And the last T, which is the most important one, I think, is at the end of the day, when you feel like you got nothing, you still have the ability to be able to give, guess what? Thanks. Thanks for what it is that you do have. So when you have a collective like this here that's working, oh my gosh, I got to applaud here real quick. Very nice. They showed up today, and I hope that what you've seen today has been something that has impressed and imprinted upon your heart, and has caused you not to just want to say it, but also display it. Because it's easy for us to say, but it's tough for us to display. We have to be the hands, the feet, in order to be able to go out and show what it is that we know. Because we may know it, but most people don't show it. But they are today here doing that. Before we check out, because we're getting at that time for you guys, we didn't want to break the hour here. Before we go out, is there anything that anyone wanted to share with the viewers that you think they may need to hear? That we get in touch?
One thing I think is the thanks part is anytime we need somebody to step up, we can ask them to do something, and they done. But you have to say thanks for it. That's the best thing. You just can't have them do it and then be gone, and you're not there.
Yeah.
You have to say thank you. You have to respond to what they have done.
Exactly.
You have to acknowledge it.
Yes.
And that's the best thing about Shar-On. I think we all acknowledge each other.
That's like our payment.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It is.
Somebody just says, thank you.
Yeah,
And
that
you're going,
feels so good to
awesome,
hear that.
you know, because we're here for that.
Yeah.
Acknowledgement
Wow.
is
Love
huge.
it.
It's just to acknowledge that these people haven't been acknowledged forever, seems like, you know, just to say that you're alive and you did good, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just that you see them rise up.
Yeah.
I can chime in here that when I first was showing the video to our collective, there was quite a few people that were just crying because it's the first time they really heard something good about themselves.
Wow.
And you know what? These guys give like crazy. When Mel was on the film saying that, seriously, 12, 14 hours a day. Some of them rolling out of ditches. I mean, seriously, food handlers permits, taking showers in those kitchens, and they give like crazy. I mean, so to hear wonderful things, just, wow, I like your smile. Some kind of compliment. That is huge. That was an assignment we had. We all had to give each other
Nobody else
compliments. So, but really, just, you know, thank somebody, whether you see them on the street or just in a bank, just say something wonderful to each other. Be considerate of the whole, because it takes us all. It really does.
It takes a village. A big village, too nowadays too. I love the concept of I'm going to use this term loosely, the needy serving the needy. Just like really, it's like I need a little something, something. I'm going to serve those who are in need too as
Who would
well.
have thought?
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
Matter of fact, the giver is of no use unless there's those who are in need.
Exactly.
What you gonna do? You're a giver, but you don't have anybody in need. You're worthless. Thank you again for your time.
Yes.
Just watch after this. We're going to post some ways that you can get in contact with Shar-On Foundation, and so you can actually give one of those teas, whichever those teas are, or also pick their brains, so to speak, to see how you can start something similar in your community as well too. Because this is duplicatable. There's a blueprint to making this happen, and it's happened, and it was created because someone said yes and stepped into it, and just. I love this when you say just breathe and step.
Breathe and
go into
step,
it.
but one more thing, an invitation, please. We'd love to hear your voices and bring your ideas and suggestions to the table. You can call us, email us, any way you can come to our collective meeting. It's open to everybody. So, right, wouldn't we welcome all ideas? So, yes.
Got it.
Yeah.
Y'all got a little chant, little Shar-On Foundation chant?
Oh, we do.
We
Ready?
do.
No, we don't.
All right.
We are Shar-On, mighty, mighty Shar-On. Everywhere we go, people want to know who we are. So we tell them, we are Shar-On, mighty, mighty Shar-On. Yay!
Thank you, Titans.
Inspired by the movie The Titans.
We are the Titans, yes.
Never came out.